For everybody that hasn't heard of Inkpact, firstly, where have you been? Tell us what Inkpact is.
So Inkpact is a company that I started 3 years ago that allows small and large companies to really go above and beyond for their customers by sending genuinely handwritten letters, note cards, messages at scale, and for the client it's just at the touch of a button. So as easy as sending an email, but something that's genuinely handwritten by a real person.
Yeah, now the thing that's interesting about this is that when you send an email now, it's so easy to do, but not everyone's opening them. Like even with Gmail, you can send an email, and if it's any sort of automated campaign, it's going to go straight into the promoted junk folder. So you've actually found a way that ensures people get the message. How do you know that people are opening the letters?
So when I first started the company, we just did a test. In fact, I didn't even realise I started a company to start with. We just did a test sending handwritten letters to business owners because we thought we don't read our email, so I'm sure business owners, don't either. And we found that every single person, when they receive a handwritten letter, they're amazed that they get one, then they open it, and then they keep it on their desk, they put it on their fridge, on their wall, they put it out somewhere, and they keep it for ages. So we actually made some phone calls initially to people saying, what do you think of the letter? And they absolutely loved them. They're saying, I haven't received one for 20 years. The last one I got was from, my boyfriend, ages ago. I kept it in a box. So we thought there's really something special about the handwritten letter. But actually, if we can apply that in a business sense, because actually business is all about buying from people and it's interacting with people, that actually we'd be onto a winner from a marketing point of view. So I think it's just a really special way, and now we've got more sophisticated ways of tracking, and we've got links and discount codes so we can track which clients have opened it and then responded online.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's got a lot more sophisticated now, but to start with, it's people just raving about the service and raving about how they love handwritten letters.
So you've taken something really old-fashioned and you've incorporated tech into it as well, quite cleverly.
Yeah.
So it all seems very old-fashioned, and you open one of these letters and it all seems like it's come from back in the day, but actually you've got all this tech in between to make sure that everything moves smoothly. If I wanted to order an Inkpact myself, how would I go about it?
So we're actually a tech company, which you might not think as we send handwritten letters, but our fantastic kind of tech and engineering team have put together a platform which makes it super simple to send a handwritten letter. So all you do is you connect your contacts. Yep. So you upload a spreadsheet or you add them one by one. You brand your stationery, so you can add your logo or your name or whatever you want on the actual stationery. You can personalise every single message, or you can do like a mail merge function where you can put their first name, last name, and you schedule send. And that fantastic software then sends a notification to our hundreds of writers across the UK who will physically handwrite every single one of them for you, put a first class stamp and post it out, which means that the front end is very technical. We even have an API and a Salesforce plugin, but the back end actually, and that's what makes it really magical, is that it's genuinely handwritten by real people. So we're merging the online and offline together, and I think no matter how technical the world gets, we still love physical as customers receiving something. So
it's funny, the more digital we go, the more the handwritten letters seem to feel special. I've always felt really sort of excited about getting a handwritten letter, but as we've gone further and further into emails and tech, the more excited I get if I get something.
Yeah,
I had a letter from you and I was like, oh my God, she's actually handwritten it.
And I bet you take photos of it, put it on Instagram, put it on Twitter. And so actually it's a great way for us to help our customers put their brand on social media as well. No one takes a photo of an email, obviously it's very boring, everyone gets them. But if you've got a wax seal on the back of a beautiful letter, you put that on Instagram, that publicity for your brand is incredible. So
actually, what's interesting about the wax seal as well is that it can get past PAs. So if you wanted to reach someone really super important, does the PA normally open a letter that's got a wax seal?
So we did a really interesting test with a charity once, and we sent a handwritten letter to some lords and ladies who have got lots of PAs, executive assistants, very difficult to get hold of.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. So we sent a letter to thank them for their donation to this charity and their support. And one of the lords actually called the founder of this charity and said, you know what, a letter has never ever got to my desk unopened. Someone always opens it, but when it had the wax seal on the back, they wanted him to have the feeling of opening it. Yeah. So if it works for a lord, it works well for CEOs and really hard to reach people.
The Queen? Do you think we can
try? We can try. We can try and reach the Queen. If anyone wants to reach the Queen, let us know.
Well, let's give you a little update. I'm here with Charlotte Pearce from Inkpact. She's a female founder and she's really kicking ass in the business world. Inkpact's scaling really quickly, but the premise of it is that they handwrite letters to your clients, and it saves you a lot of time having to handwrite it yourself. So if you've got hundreds or thousands of clients and customers, then you just get the Inkpact team to write them. Send in your comments. We're going to do a Q&A at the very end. Tell us more about the people that actually write the letters. Do you have handwriting auditions? Like, where do they come from?
So when I first started the company, back at university, it was a real big social mission of mine to help people that come from a slightly disadvantaged background, or people that weren't able to fit in your stereotypical 9-to-5 jobs. And Inkpact is a great way to do that. So I started off with students and a couple of mothers who really wanted to earn money at home and had fantastic handwriting. And now we have a very big social mission as a company, which is to help people move their lives forward through writing. So we work with different charities, people like Working Chance and the Young Women's Trust, lots of different people who've either been in prison previously or have been homeless at some point, but they have fantastic handwriting, and they actually get trained up as an Inkpact writer. So we have online training, offline training, we do some kind of writing tests, time trials, those types of things. see how good their handwriting is. But we actually have a category for people who don't have fantastic handwriting, but actually just have everyday normal neat handwriting, because not everyone wants it to be overly fancy all of the time. So it means we can take people from different backgrounds, and they can literally sitting at home in their pajamas looking after their kids and
watching off Facebook Live, maybe.
Watching off, exactly.
So if you've got amazing handwriting, or in fact just nice handwriting, then maybe you could actually apply to be an Inkpact writer.
Yeah, we have so many people apply, and we love it because it's just a way to supplement your income. And some people actually just love writing. In fact, I think they'd be happy to not get paid for it. We do pay them for it, and that's a big part of the role. But some people just love it and love getting that fountain pen back on paper. So we've got a real kind of tribe of community of followers now that we do workshops and everything for. So yeah, it's
so they get workshops as well, and they can learn calligraphy and
we've actually got a calligraphy workshop this Thursday, but probably about twice a month we have a calligraphy workshop or an art workshop. So sometimes we've done things with like mark making, so getting the pen back on paper and doing art. We've done a whole range of things, but it's really all about taking you away from screens, back to pen and paper, back to physical.
It's a bit addictive, I think, because after receiving a letter from you, I thought, I'm going to write a few notes to my friends. I'm really busy, and I thought I just want to let them know that I really care about them. And it is a surefire way to let people know that you've really taken time out to customise something and say how you feel. Yeah,
and I think that's great, and something that I personally do one-to-one. And what we've really with Inkpact has tried to help is those bigger businesses that can't do it. It's not physically possible for a big company or a hotel chain like this to send handwritten letters in the hundreds of thousands. It's not possible,
exactly.
But with us it is. So we're trying to do two things. We're trying to bring handwriting back as a really personal mechanism and allow companies that would just never be able to send it.
Sure.
But it's really interesting. Companies like when Virgin first started, and I've read a story about Richard Branson, and when he did Virgin Atlantic, he used to handwrite messages and letters to the people that flew on his planes.
This.
And even today I read a blog a couple of months ago about how he handwrites to his employees, and he handwrites post-it notes. So it's amazing how really successful serial entrepreneur like Richard Branson actually uses them handwritten notes and letters day to day as well. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when you get CEOs that are thinking of their consumers in that way. Even Richard Branson even does his blog, doesn't he, when he writes back to his younger self, but the storytelling behind it is always there in the letter. It's like the closest you can get your voice to them, I think, without if you send an email, it just seems so boring and bland these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so basically we're going to announce a competition in a moment's time, so stay tuned and keep liking the video and comment below if you've got any questions. We had a few questions that came in this morning, so I'm going to ask you these. Catherine wants to know, she said she recently received a handwritten thank you card from a client, and emails are lovely, and there's something extra special about ink on paper, and she basically wants to know, like, how could you do that if you've got thousands and thousands of clients? How would you
there's a couple of ways. Before Inkpact existed, it would definitely be getting somebody else in the office to do it.
Yeah.
So which is still a great way, and something you can do. So I'm sure in all of your offices there will be someone there if you can't physically do it. And I think it is worth the time, especially for like the top 20% of your clients. The 80-20 rule: 20% of your clients probably bring in 80% of your revenue. So doing something for them, either around the holiday time or around kind of their birthdays, or a moment where they normally buy from you and for some reason they haven't, send them something. So I think that on a smaller scale you can definitely do it internally, and for startup companies I think that's great, taking that little time to do that. On a bigger scale it is much more difficult, and that's kind of where Inkpact comes in. And I think we're one of the only companies in Europe that does this, so there's not many other places that you can go to, but on scale it really does need kind of our whole community of writers to write hundreds of thousands in a month. So, and that's what they're trained to do. So if you want to send hundreds of thousands, then use the Inkpact platform. If you only have say 5 or 10, or you want to write to your employees, I'd really encourage you to pick pick up a pen and give it a go. There's actually something quite therapeutic about writing it yourself as well. So yeah, give it a go first. If you struggle, we're always here after to help you out.
Fiona Brennan wants she wants you to know that she loves including handwritten cards in all the boxes to her customers. She says a little note goes a long way. Yeah. She's from sonicknits.com. There's a little plug for you.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. We've got another question here. Someone says she still writes letters to her grandmother and occasionally to her daughter, which is lovely.
Yeah. And there was something online recently, I think, we were talking about this before, about where someone had kept the letters from someone's entire life and kept them in a box.
She was basically turning 18 and her parents had asked, instead of buying her presents every year, can you write her a letter? And they kept it from her for 18 years.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting 18 years of worth of handwritten emotional letters from the people you care about the most? Someone has said that they always send a handwritten note to the new people they've met whilst networking. This is from Lizelle. She says she finds it's got a 95% conversion rate to get her another meeting with them and start to build a relationship. Why do you think that handwritten letters work so much more than like a tweet or an email?
Yeah, I've been looking into this a lot, as you can imagine, starting this company. But I think it's just psychology. It's just a human connection to somebody from somebody else. And I think with screens, we all forget it's a person selling to a person or a person buying from a person. Yeah. And when it gets cut through right to your desk or your letterbox, you're going to read it. So you're increasing your read rates to 100%. Therefore, you're increasing the likelihood of someone responding. And if they can read about you, then they'll at least get the chance to be interested. In an email, they don't even get the chance to be interested. Yeah. However, on top of that, you've then got the emotional connection to all of those letters when they were a child, or all of those letters they received from loved ones, to that emotional connection. And then they always react in some way. So we get 80 to 90% response rates in some way, whether that's viewing a website or downloading a product, whatever it might be. Because people feel somebody has spent the time and sat down and written this to me. Yeah. The least I can do is click on that link, or the least I can do is go and like their Facebook page or buy this product from them. And I think there's that coupled with months, even years later. I once heard a story about how a hotel sent a handwritten note to one of their guests. 7 years later, he was still raving about that hotel and how they'd sent him a handwritten letter. Yeah. And that was 7 years ago, and to this day he still talks about it. So I think it's a mixture of them not ever seeing anything like this day to day, that feeling of emotion, that feeling they need to respond, and then just never forgetting about it.
Have you had that in your history? Like, have you had it as a little girl, or when you were younger? Have you had an experience with handwritten letters that made you think like this, or?
Yeah. So I always loved art and writing as a kid, and I was always the one doodling on a page, and I've always just loved pen and paper. And even now, my boyfriend, who's probably watching this, also writes me a handwritten note once or twice a year, just just going through what we've achieved in the year and what we've done, and kind of seeing that on pen and paper is kind of really emotional. But also, when I first started the company, I was deciding whether to launch the company kind of full time. I just graduated university, and a lady said to me, "My daughter would love to write from you, and I was with you, as a writer." And I was like, "Great." Hadn't properly started the company yet, hadn't got many writers, so kind of just put it. It was an email in an inbox. Kind of forgot about it. A couple of emails must have gone by, and I very rudely hadn't responded. And then a handwritten letter landed on my doorstep from the girl who really wanted to write, and I realised the power myself of the handwritten letter that I've been talking about, but firsthand. And I thought, you know what, this girl needs to be a writer, and not only does she need to be a writer, but this really works, because now I've paid attention. I wrote back to her and I called her saying, yes, be a writer,
amazing,
as soon as possible. So
I would absolutely love to know if you've had any experience sending or receiving handwritten letters, or you still do it. Let us know in the comments below so we can address it. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to be a massive fan of this TV character. They were called Rod, Jane and Freddie. I'm probably a little bit too, no one else will probably know who they are now, but I absolutely loved them. And I used to go and see their shows, and they would send me a letter after every show to say, it was awesome to see you. Probably wasn't them writing it, and I think I knew that deep down, but it was so lovely to just have a letter from them, How do people know that the letter coming to them is, how do you get them knowing that it's from the actual writer and not from Inkpact?
Yeah.
How do you sort of kind of pull the veil over there and work for the client?
So we never ever have any Inkpact branding on anything. The whole point of this is it's from a company, so like we work with the big FMCG, for example. It's not possible for them to send handwritten notes to their customers, but it is through us.
Yeah.
But we want that to come from either that person in that department, that person on their sales team, that person on the customer service team, or that company as a whole. So sometimes we do it written from a whole company. Sometimes we do it written from a person. We'll never really sign somebody's name, but we'll just write it. So, you know, if it was from you, Sam, we'd write, you know, best wishes, Sam, on the end. And we will try and match your style of writing. So we have like 4 or 5 different categories of writing. And so if your writing is quite, you know, curvaceous, we have a flourish category, which you can choose on the site and say, I want my handwritten note to be flourish.
Yeah.
And it matches your writing. There's no Inkpact branding, and it'll be all branded to you. So you could have it branded as Sam Jones or, you know, the pop-up studio.
So there's actually no trace of Inkpact really, you know, and the sentiment is still behind it because the person's gone to the trouble of giving you the words.
Yeah.
And it means actually they can say more because they can say whatever they want, personalised for every single card and letter, can't they?
So they can personalise every single one of them. It's effectively like you're putting the words in there, but our amazing team of handwriters just physically handwrite it for you. So it's kind of no different from pressing print, apart from the fact that it's really written in real ink by real people. So I think it's a great way for companies to be personalised in a way they just couldn't possibly be before.
Yeah. I know when I'm writing Christmas cards, I only really have time to write Merry Christmas. Yeah. I try and squeeze in another sentence that's personal and then from us, you know. Yeah. If you do it via Inkpact, you can actually just put so much more. Like, how many words could you put on a Christmas card with an Inkpact?
So about 50 to 60 words. So a couple of sentences, and we really encourage you to pull out something personal. Whether it's, you know, really hope you liked that our shampoo that you bought from us, or, you know, really hope you enjoyed that stay at our hotel, or hope you liked the last workshop that we did. Yeah. So we can actually pull from your systems, and, you know, you can put it onto our platform, the last thing they did with you, and that means that you're just really connecting with them in another way, and we'll also help you make it even more personalised as well. That's what we do every day, so we've got quite good at writing the copy and the content behind it, so we'll really help you make it personalised, and when someone receives it, they won't forget about it, and they'll be raving to their friends about it. So.
It's really hard to throw away a really good handwritten note, isn't it?
You can't rip it up. That delete button's so easy, but ripping up a handwritten note and sending it away is very difficult, so that's one of the reasons why I think it works so well.
I heard that you're a really good hustler.
Did you?
No, yeah. Tell me about how you've actually managed to get these opportunities, because as an entrepreneur, you need to have some cheek, don't you? Yeah. And you've got it in.
And and whenever I do a talk or something, especially to younger people, I say, look, ask, put your hand up, ask, be cheeky. You know, people most of the time will say yes. Yeah. And just, you've got to put yourself out there. But I think the biggest time I did this was, I was just kind of launching the company as a tech company. I just found a co-founder, Andrew, and we needed some funding, and I saw an investor at actually the hospital club in Covent Garden. I saw an investor sitting on another table, and I really wanted to get his attention, but he was in a meeting with another startup. He had no idea who I was. And in the back of my notebook, I always keep a little note card, blank note card and envelope. And I thought, this is one chance to be really cheeky here, and I'm going to use the method that, you know, I'm selling and I'm shouting about, which is handwritten letters. So I wrote him a little note, and I said, you know, Dear Doug, you don't really know who I am, but I've seen you on a panel before. I think you should hear about Inkpact. I think you'd really love it. Would love to talk to you more. P.S. Your next Vino is on me. And so I gave it to the waitress. The waitress, he was still having his meeting and I had to leave. So the waitress gave him the note card. Straight away, in about a minute, he'd sent me an email saying, just smiley face, and, you know, we'd love to meet you. Actually, I'm on a panel with you. I'm on a panel next week, and, you know, come and pitch. So I pitched and gave us investment on the day. He said, if you can hustle me like that, I know you can hustle your clients like that too. So it was a really kind of, I remember handing this note over and being so scared because I couldn't take it back either, it had gone. But I have to say, it's one of those moments where my gut feeling was like, you've got to do something unforgettable here. And I did, and it totally paid off, and that's the kind of the methodology that we try and keep going at Inkpact. Is all about being unforgettable, and trying to help our clients be unforgettable to their customers and their clients, but also personally being unforgettable as a person and working on our personality and developing. I think it's all about that standing out and being different. Yeah, positive culture. Yes, exactly. So in the beginning, when you started Inkpact, was there sort of a big motivation? Were you just so in love with handwriting you had to create the company? Like, what was the
light bulb moment for you?
I think everyone thinks that the start of a company is like really glamorous, and in reality it's totally not at all. So I was running quite a big social enterprise, felt a bit out of my depth. I think I was like a 20-year-old student. I had 150 people in my team, and I was running 13 businesses across the world. A little bit crazy as part of an organisation called Enactus. And I just really knew that I wanted to help people and make money at the same time, not one above the other. And I wouldn't say I loved handwriting, I loved art, but not handwriting specifically. And I ended up at a personal development day from a company called Action Coach. And they were talking about how they used handwritten letters, but they could only send 10, 15 of them before their hand hurt and their handwriting wasn't very good. And so I basically was talking to one of the guys, Matt, and he was saying he loved sending them. And I just remember all these people that we were working with as part of Enactus and from different vulnerable backgrounds. And I thought, you know what, I think we can help these people and help you with your handwriting. And I just joined the dots.
Great.
And I think a big skill is being able to join those dots and create those opportunities. And I loved art, and I've always been very creative. So I guess I just joined all the dots together and created Inkpact, and then really scaled it from there. So it was very kind of, people used to call me and place an order back a couple of years ago, and now it's an online platform and we've got an API and integrations. It's very different, but it just came from joining dots and seeing this person has a problem, they can't communicate really effectively through emails. These people want to earn money working from home. How do we make that happen? And just
I mean, it's so simple when you think about it, and I know there's like going to be so many people out there like, why didn't we think of that? It's just
we get that a lot.
it's amazing. So that's actually brilliant, and let's just see if there's any more comments before we finish the live stream.
I don't know, I'd quite happily stay here.
I think we should try and kick us out. Okay, so Nell is saying, do you use sustainable sources for your paper materials?
Yeah, so actually quite a lot of it is led by our clients. So as you can imagine, some clients have got a big focus on sustainability, so we can use recycled paper. They normally also love the social impact, and sometimes they shout about the writers and the types of people that we have writing. So we can use any source of paper, we can use sustainable paper, but sometimes we actually will collaborate with an organisation or a charity and help them hit some of their CSR goals as well. So that sometimes that's environmental, sometimes that's we work with mothers. We'd love just to have mothers writing on this campaign. So whatever CSR goal a company has, as a kind of social mission company ourselves, we like to help them hit that at the same time as being unforgettable. So if we can have some of their beneficiaries write, we will. If we can write on their types of paper and plant some trees, if that's one of the things that they need to do, then we'll work with that company and help them achieve their goals, as well as us helping us achieve our social mission as well. So
I think one letter seems to be equivalent to about 10 emails or something, in the sense where you open a letter once and you just never forget it, do you? And
exactly.
Sometimes you just never know whether someone's opened the email or whether they're going to respond, and you just have to send another one. It just has that, and it has that emotional feel, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
She also wants to know, would you do handwriting in other languages?
Oh, interesting. So we've handwritten in other languages from the UK. So at the moment we're predominantly UK based. We've had lots of requests from other countries, but we've decided to focus on the UK just for now, because that's kind of where we're looking to have the impact, and that's where most of our clients are.
Yeah.
But we've actually handwritten in different languages, but from the UK. So some of our clients have asked for, like, the major languages that you have in the UK. Lots of people speak multiple languages and therefore can write in multiple languages. So French, Spanish, German. Lots of our writers are bilingual and can write in different languages. So it's definitely something we can do.
This could go bonkers, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You could just go worldwide very quickly.
That's the plan. So the thing is, in every country it's exactly the same. People buy from people. People have great handwriting, and people are unfortunately in disadvantaged situations. So in every country, no matter whether you're in India or you're in America or in the UK, there are people that want to connect with their customers, and there are people with great handwriting in every language. So our aim is to take this model that's working quite well in the UK, thanks to a great team and great writers, and try and scale that globally and really help companies all over the world to be really personalised with their communication.
Well, we'll finish on that, but before we go, I just want to know who your dream client would be.
Ooh, interesting. I had no time to think about it.
I put you on the spot here.
Yeah, you have. I think it would be great to write for Virgin, because when I was reading up about sales letters and great letters and people that have used letters in a really great way, just looking at kind of Virgin's ethos, one from a sustainability and social point of view, I think they're a great company in that sense, but also the types of the relationship they have with their clients. They across every Virgin brand there is that sense they really care about the clients. I think we could really help them take it up another notch and bring back that culture that they first started. So I think
so Richard Branson, if you're watching, we're here, we're ready. Charlotte Pearce wants to send your letters.
Yeah, so Virgin would be great. But I think that just what we love is we love working with clients, big and small. We can really help them be personalised. Whether you're a one man or woman band, sitting at home trying to get clients, or you're Virgin. I think that Inkpact is really for any company that just wants to stand out and be different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Charlotte Pearce, thank you so much for letting us interview you today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Bye everyone.
Bye.